white shirt, now where'd my bloody nose sleeping? You're on your tippy toes creeping around like no one knows. Think you're so criminal. Bruises on both my knees for you. Don't say thank you, oh please. I do what I want to do. My soul, so cynical. So you're Bangunlah bangun pemuda-pemudi, bulatkan tekad pada Ibu Pertiwi. Serahkanlah jiwa dan ragamu, membangun bangsa. Marilah kita berkarya, membangun negara kita. Tunjukkan masa depanmu, UGJ tercinta. Bangunlah bangun UGJ tercinta, tunjukkanlah pengabdian untuk bangsa. Ciptakan citra kewibawaan kita, bersama junjunglah namamu. Marilah kita berkarya, membangun negara kita. Tunjukkan masa depanmu, UGJ tercinta. UGJ tercinta.
Oke, bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat siang, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Selamat datang di UGJ Talks Webinar Series 3. Pada kesempatan siang hari ini kita akan berdiskusi dengan tema internasionalisasi perguruan tinggi di tengah pandemi COVID-19.
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody who who have been joined in this UGJ Talk International Webinar Series, the third series, with the theme COVID-19 pandemic will be a goodbye to internationalization.
Sebelum kita mulai, kami akan menyapa kepada para pembicara yang kami hormati. Bapak Rector UGJ, Associate Professor Dr. Haji Mukarto Siswoyo, Doktorandes M.Si. Kemudian yang kami hormati Ibu Evi Mulyani, akuntan M.B.A, Ph.D, selaku Kepala Biro Kerjasama dan Hubungan Masyarakat dari Kemendikbud Republik Indonesia. Kemudian pemateri kedua Ibu Siti Humayah, SE, SH, M.Si, Wakil Rektor 4 Universitas Swadaya Gunung Jati. Kemudian materi ketiga akan disampaikan oleh Dr. Nabor Ferrer, Director External Linkage and International Affairs dari Tarlac Agricultural University, Philippines. Dan materi keempat oleh Dr. Nico Irawan, International College Rajamangala University of Technology, Krungthep, Thailand. Dan terakhir oleh Mr. Jeomari Pangsemang, Director of International Relations, University of Wachi, France.
Yeah, before starting all this agenda, we would like to say welcome for all the speakers in here. First of all, to the Honorable for our Rector UGJ, Rector Universitas Swadaya Gunung Jati, Mr. Associate Professor Dr. Haji Mukarto Siswoyo, Doktorandes M.Si, and then for the first speaker from Kementerian Hubungan Masyarakat Kemendikbud RI, Ibu Evi Mulyani AK M.B.A Ph.D, as the head of Bureau for the Collaboration and the Public Relations in Kemendikbud RI. And then welcome to the Honorable Ibu Siti Humayah, SE, SH, M.Si, as the Vice Rector for UGJ. And then for Dr. Nabor Ferrer, to the Honorable Ibu Christine, welcome to our webinar UGJ Talk, and welcome to Bapak Dr. Nico Irawan from International College Rajamangala University of Technology, Krungthep, Thailand. And then the last one is welcome to the Honorable for Dr. Jeomari Pincemin, as a Director of International Relations, University of Poitiers, France.
Oke, sebelum kita mulai, kami akan membacakan peraturan dalam webinar ini. Yang pertama, kepada para peserta dimohon untuk masuk login, kemudian menuliskan nama dan asal institusi. Yang kedua, selanjutnya nanti kami akan memberikan absensi di tengah webinar. Kemudian silakan Bapak Ibu untuk mengisi absensi tersebut untuk mendapatkan sertifikat. Perlu kami laporkan bahwa pada kesempatan kali ini sudah ada 500 lebih partisipan yang sudah bergabung, baik dari Indonesia maupun para kolega dari Thailand, dari Filipina, kemudian dari India, dan banyak lagi dari negara-negara lainnya. Oleh karena itu, kami mohon kerjasamanya agar menonaktifkan suara atau mikrofon di komputer atau di handphone masing-masing. Terima kasih.
Yeah, for all the participants, after logging in this webinar, you have to put your name and then your institution. For example, from your school, your university, and then the attendance list will be enclosed in the middle of the seminar.
Baiklah, kita akan memulai acara yang pertama. Yang pertama adalah opening remark oleh Rektor UGJ, Bapak Associate Profesor Dr. Haji Mukarto Siswoyo, Dr. Andes M.Si. Selamat siang Pak Rektor.
Yeah, good afternoon for our Rector UGJ. Yes, a special time for you for having opening remark, sir.
Pak Uto.
Waalaikumsalam.
mulai, kita foto bersama dulu. Mohon kepada setiap peserta untuk bisa menyalakan kamera di komputer atau di laptop masing-masing. Kemudian setelah kita foto bersama, setelah itu kita akan masuk ke pemateri pertama. Monggo dipersilakan untuk dibuka kamera masing-masing.
Yeah, for all attendants, before the first speaker tried to deliver the presentation, let's take for 2 minutes to take a picture together. And with it, please put yourself in front of the camera because we have to take this as our documentation. Once again.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Oke, terima kasih. Sekarang marilah kita bersama-sama masuk ke acara utama, yaitu pemberian materi dari Ibu adalah Kepala Biro Kerjasama dan Hubungan Masyarakat Kemendikbud Republik Indonesia. Kami sapa dulu. Selamat siang Ibu Evi Mulyani. Alhamdulillah, selamat siang Bu Evi. Terima kasih banyak kami ucapkan dari UGJ atas ketersediaan Bu Evi untuk bergabung memberikan materi dalam kesempatan yang baik ini. Beliau merupakan sosok yang sangat sibuk tentunya ya. Di tengah-tengah kesibukan beliau, alhamdulillah beliau bersedia menjadi salah satu pembicara. Terima kasih banyak Ibu Evi. Silakan untuk Ibu Evi, kami serahkan ke Miss Lia, rekan saya, untuk membacakan beberapa CV dari Ibu Evi Mulyani.
Yeah, good afternoon, Ibu Evi Mulyani. Yeah, for all participants here, as we know that our first speaker will be Mrs. Evi Mulyani, aka M.B.A. Ph.D. Actually, that right now she is the head of the Bureau Cooperation and Public Relations in Ministry of Education for the Republic of Indonesia. She was born in Bandung, West Java, 18 April 1976. And the current position right now, she is the head of education and the current position as a head of Bureau of Cooperation and Public Relations in Ministry of Education and Culture, Republic of Indonesia. And then her background of education, she took Ph.D. in Accounting and Finance, Deakin University, Melbourne, Victoria, Australia, and then her M.B.A. in Finance, Nanzan University, Nagoya, Japan, and DIV Accounting in Sekolah Tinggi Akuntansi Negara, or what we call STAN, Jakarta, Indonesia. Her working experience, first of all, she was a casual academic staff in Deakin University, Melbourne, Australia, and then she became a lecturer, doctoral program FEB, or Faculty of Economic in Universitas Trisakti, reviewer, Jurnal Kajian Ekonomi dan Keuangan, Ministry of Finance, and then she is as a lecturer until right now in DIV STAN Jakarta, and then as an investor relations, as a head of division, Ministry of Finance, and then right now she is as a Bureau of Cooperation and Public Relations in Ministry of Education and Culture. Well, for Ibu Evi Mulyani, time is yours, ma'am.
manage the situation. So in the higher education institutions context, globalization has triggered a massive transformation tadi Pak Rector sudah sampaikan pula in many aspects. One quite prominent and most practiced way is called internationalization. So first of all, why is it important? Because that has clearly overall improvement in tertiary education worldwide. Those graphs were summarized from the compact data in 2015 was 214 million when it's estimated in 2040 there will be 594 million. That's the enrollment in higher education. So this is the one of the backgrounds why it's important. So it's parallel to the economic development, and the higher education sector across the region has experienced explosive growth over the past 25 years, as the data show. So it's resulting from increased school participation and a growing association between advanced education and life opportunities. So in response to this, the higher education sector, both public and private, has expanded rapidly to accommodate demand. And the second one that gives importance to the internationalization in education is that the post-secondary education mobility is a global phenomenon. We also have the support from the data on this one. And the third one, before the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic, the UNESCO Institute for Statistics, UIS, projected that by 2025, the total of internationally mobile post-secondary university students would reach 8 million. So that's based the data showing that it is important or why the internationalization of in education is important. I would like to share the next slide. So that's the background of why it's important. Then the second one is that the benefits. So it's not only the internationalization in higher education or in education as a whole in general. It's not only supported by the data that shows it's important, but then we can see also from the point of view of the benefits. First one, of course, it will increase. No, it's in the previous slide, please. So the first one, increase international awareness of global issues by students. So this is, I think this is automatic. Benefits, one of the benefits of internationalization. The second one, it will improve the quality of teaching and learning, of course, because we can like share the capacities or learn from each other. And the third one, enhance international cooperation and capacity building. And of course, at the same time, it will also strengthen the institutional research and knowledge production capacity. It will also enhance international networks by faculty and researchers. I think Pak Rector also mentioned earlier in his opening remarks. So that's the benefit. So after the importance, we see the importance, it's important, the benefits, and the third one I would like to share, I think, the strategy. If I'm not mistaken, it's in, or aims, I think. Before the strategy, we can discuss on aims of the internationalization. It's available in the next slide, please. Baik, di slide berikutnya. Ini tujuannya, aims untuk internalisasi pendidikan. The first one, of course, encourage students to acquire new skills because they can study and work overseas or across borderless, I think, into global markets. And at the same time, it can diversify the countries where international students come to Indonesia. And the third one, increase the support, of course, for education sector institutions to help develop their services and seek new opportunities abroad. And at the same time, it can also facilitate international dialogue and partnerships in education, which is really important, I think. And then also recognize Indonesia as a global leader in education. This is very nice one. And the last one, it can strengthen strategic relationships in international education. That's the aims basically of internationalization in education. And then the strategy, I would like to also share with you all a strategy that can be used in internationalization in education. Next slide, please. So some of the strategies, actually if we're referring to some journals or research, we have bunch of, I think, literature that can be our references. If we talk about strategy of internationalization in education, of course it will be different across countries, across the globe. It will be depending on the situation in specific in each country. But then basically some strategies that can be implemented are first, diversify the education sector, then increase the capacity for innovation, promote global relations, foster a dynamic economy, promotion of higher education abroad, and international cooperation. I think that's some of the background, the background why it's important, and then the aims as well as the strategy that we can implement for the internationalization in education. I would like to also share with you the policy of international cooperation in education and culture. This one is one of our tasks within the Ministry of Education and Culture. So when we talk about development of international cooperation, then we have a couple things to consider. First one is Nawacita mandate, as well as the SDGs 2030, Sustainable Development Goals. For Nawacita, as we understand that President Jokowi has actually launched or enacted the Nawacita mandate, so improve the quality of the Indonesian people, that's the first one. And then revolutionizing the character of the nation, as well as increase people's productivity and competitiveness in international markets, and reinforce diversity and strengthen Indonesia's social restoration. So our international cooperation is basically based on this Nawacita as well as SDGs, goal 4 to be more specific. And second one is the fulfillment of 58 million skilled workers until 2030. So an additional 58 million skilled workers are needed to make Indonesia's seven world economy by 2030. And then the third one, we have what we call regional and global competition in human resource. So this one is also one of the considerations in the development of our international cooperation. As I understand, ASEAN Economic Community, AEC, the 14 million jobs are open until 2025 and 20 within 20 skill competencies. So these 3 points are basically providing us within the Ministry of Education and Culture in terms of the development of international cooperation. Next slide, please. So this is the pictures of our international cooperation within in the Ministry of Education and Culture. In terms of area of cooperation, of course, I think this one is pretty much similar with what other countries also have. So bilateral cooperation, then the second one, multilateral cooperation. For bilateral cooperation, we are really open to cooperate and partner with all countries basically, as well as with NGOs from a country and foreign private partners. For multilateral cooperation, again, we are really open to work with all IOs. We work very closely with CMEO, for instance, ASEAN, UNESCO, and other international organizations. In terms of forms of cooperation, we have, of course, first one, G2G cooperation, and then we also have cooperation in the forms of cooperation between government of Indonesia and IOs, or government of Indonesia with NGOs, international foreign NGOs or foreign private sector. We also have cooperation between institutions, so cooperation between schools, for instance, or between universities, so university to university. I think this one is relevant with what we're talking today. In terms of implementation of cooperation, of course, reciprocal is the first concept. Then MOU or LOI, that's what we have, and then joint commission meeting. We also have a lot actually, joint working group involves technical ministries or agencies, and we also implement agreed program or project activities based on what we have discussed in our MOUs or agreements. I also, so that's part of our international cooperation policy. In terms of the learning or education sector policy, untuk teman-teman semua mungkin sudah sangat familiar dengan konsep Merdeka Belajar. So for Indonesian, I think we're familiar with the concept of Merdeka Belajar. So this concept is, or philosophy is actually taken from the philosophy introduced by Bapak Pendidikan Indonesia, Ki Dewantara. So far we have 5 episodes of Merdeka Belajar, episodes 1 to 5. And all are interconnected actually. The first one is related with the transformation or reform. So it's reform related with graduation exam, national exam, teachers lesson plan, and school zoning. I think we need a separate forum if you would like to talk or elaborate the whole Merdeka Belajar episodes. But then basically what we introduce through our Merdeka Belajar policy is that we would like to provide, so Merdeka Belajar meaning freedom, learning. So we would like to provide freedom for our all stakeholders in education. So students, all students from elementary to higher education, higher degree students, for teachers, for lecturers. The basic freedom is actually in the way of thinking. So we would like to have to also provide freedom for teachers from administrative burden. So we would like to give freedom for them to have more time and energy to focus on improving their capacity of learning and teaching instead of spending their time on administrative. So we made the decision to simplify all the administrative items. Next slide, please. So that's basically our Merdeka Belajar. We also have what we call program organisasi penggerak and also guru penggerak. Next slide, please. We have a summary of our policy direction of higher education. It's very small fonts. I hope you can read through the slide. So we have some topics here. First one, presence of top universities in Indonesia. That's one of the policy direction. And the direction is that to invite world-class universities to establish presence in Indonesia and help local universities to improve. So this is actually the elaboration of the strategy that we have, the aims that we have set. Then we translate it into some policy direction of higher education. In terms of research partnership, we launched a coordinated effort to make academic researchers from top universities to local faculty members. And we do also have a policy direction in terms of exchange programs. So students can take up 2-3 semesters outside campus. So this is related with Campus Merdeka. So they can work in villages and work as volunteer or go to exchange programs. And for infrastructure improvement, this is really important, and it's really related with the internationalization in higher education, because infrastructure, if we talk about, for instance, internationalization at home, of course it will be then, or internationalization during the pandemic. Of course, it will be closely related with infrastructure improvement. So the connection for the internet-based learning, that's number one. That's what we think, as well as the availability of the all related infrastructure to have the online learning or as part of internationalization at home, in specific during pandemic COVID-19. Next slide. Now, I would like to, so after talking, boleh slide berikutnya, boleh mungkin di skip. So that's also again about the Campus Merdeka. So after this one, actually I have 2 or 3 slides talking talking about the internationalization in higher education during the pandemic COVID-19. But then prior to that one, I would like to share the map of Indonesia's cooperation with partner countries in the field of higher education. So we work with a lot of countries in terms of higher education in Europe as well as in Asia Pacific. And each of, so the cooperation with partner countries, of course the stage different according with which countries we are partnering with, but then basically again we are open to work with all countries, including in the field of higher education. Boleh slide berikutnya. I think this is the main part of my slides, internationalization of higher education during the pandemic. This one is the goals of, so this is what we have discussed internally. When we talk internationalization of higher education, then we have to set the goals. Basically, we see there are 3 points related with politics, economy, and social culture. Politics, of course, increase influence, and in terms of economy, financial benefits of international students for the country and also for the home countries, I guess. And the third one is social culture. So improving the quality of education, this is very important one, as well as improving the quality of human resources, promoting culture, promoting tourism, that's the bonus, and increasing mutual understanding. So that's basically the goals of internationalization of higher education. Next slide. This is the scope of internationalization of higher education. So ranging from international student admission to study program development. And in between these 2 steps or 2 scopes, actually we also have international standard curriculum development and innovation, lecturer and student exchange, include an internship program for student abroad, provision of international standard learning facilities and technology, and joint research and publication. So this one is basically all of these scopes again are based on what we have discussed within the ministry and started from the Nawacita as well as SDGs 2030. Next slide. So strategy, this is in previous first couple slides I shared with you strategy for internationalization of education, but this one is specific for higher education during the pandemic COVID-19. So as it has globally, so COVID-19, we understand that COVID-19 has disrupted every part of the lives of people living in all regions, including in the country in Indonesia. So the restrictions of international travel due to the COVID-19 pandemic have disrupted the aspirations of students who wish to continue their higher education in acclaimed international universities. So the challenge that COVID-19 poses to higher education, I think, in all countries is profound. In the past 3 months, you can see that many higher education systems have been compelled to take teaching and learning along with almost all other operations to online platforms or other modes of distance education. This has resulted in innovative strategies to cross digital divides and tackle other challenges. Tadi Pak Rector juga sudah menyampaikan di awal. But we see that the COVID-19 pandemic will likely change the course of our thinking about how the sector can and should operate. This one also has mentioned previously by Pak Rector. So during the pandemic COVID-19, we see that the first one, internationalization at home. This one I think is very familiar for all of us. We see that as the response of globalization, that internationalization is divided into 2 categories: internationalization abroad, and the second one is internationalization at home. I think the former is mainly about the idea of students' mobility and the way they are exposed to intercultural dimensions in different regions to generate their global competence. So in other words, this type of internationalization emphasizes the students study abroad to strengthen their international quality. But then the second one, the one that we have in our slide, internationalization at home, it's associated with providing intercultural and global education to students who remain in their home countries to undertake or study. So the type of internationalization is usually interrelated with the theory of, I think, internationalized curriculum. We understand curricula with international orientation in content, aimed at preparing students for performing in international and multicultural contexts, and designed for domestic students as well as foreign students. So those categories of internationalization can be higher education institutions' crucial responses to cope with the globalization, and in specific in the, during the pandemic period. And then the second one is the mobility without movement, namely mobility that can be done without presenting someone directly. Again, this one also related with technology, with infrastructure improvement. The third one is learning transformation using relevant technological advances. And the last one is in accordance with the objective of the Merdeka Campus, or Campus Merdeka, which is part of Merdeka Belajar. Universities are currently expected to be able to foster and produce quality graduates needed by the public or industrial sector. So I think that's the main slide that we would like to share with you all, the internationalization activities in higher education during the pandemic period. But then basically, again, the Ministry of Education and Culture would like to support fully universities or higher education institutions to be internationalized, and in particular during the pandemic period through internationalization at home. I think that's all what I have to share with you all today. Terima kasih Bapak Rektor dan teman-teman semua. I think colleagues from Thailand, from the Philippines, as well as from France, can also share the practices and policies, point of views with regards to the internationalization in higher education. And terima kasih Bapak atas kesempatannya, teman-teman semua. Kami dari Kementerian Pendidikan dan Kebudayaan tentunya sangat mendukung forum ini secara spesifik dan terkait dengan internasionalisasi pendidikan tinggi. Kami memberikan keterbukaan, kemerdekaan sebagaimana layaknya ditetapkan dalam filosofi atau konsep kebijakan Merdeka Belajar. So again, thank you. Selamat siang. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Terima kasih banyak Ibu Mulyani atas paparannya selaku Kepala Biro Kerjasama dan Hubungan Masyarakat dari Kemendikbud RI. Terima kasih banyak atas presentasinya. Kemudian saya beritahukan kepada para peserta, apabila ada pertanyaan silakan untuk bisa menulis di chat room. Nanti di akhir sesi kami akan menyampaikan pertanyaan tersebut kepada para pemateri. Sekali lagi kami ucapkan terima kasih Ibu Evi Mulyani. Sekarang kita akan masuk ke materi kedua yang akan disampaikan oleh Ibu Siti Humayah, SE, SA, M.Si, selaku Wakil Rektor 4 dari Universitas Swadaya Gunung Jati.
Yeah, thank you for Ibu Evi and for all participants. If you have any questions, you may type to the chat room. Yeah, for all participants, if you have any questions, you may ask. You may type to the chat room. Well, for the next speaker is Ibu Siti Humayah, SH, SA, M.Si. You know that actually that Ibu Siti Humayah was born in Cirebon, West Java, Indonesia, 17 March 1976, and then she has she has been as a magister for state administration, and then right now she is a lecturer in the Faculty of Science and Politics in Universitas Swadaya Gunung Jati, and the current position is as a vice rector for collaboration, public relations, and publications. She has been joined in many communities, such as like M2020 Consulting Group, Pinbook Kabupaten Cirebon, ICMI Kabupaten Cirebon, and then she has been joined in Rotary Club in LCKI Indonesia, and then she has been joined in a Community for Protection for Children and Women, or what we call PATBM. And then right now, Ibu Siti Humayah will present about about UGJ Goes to International. For Ibu Siti Humayah, time is yours.
Baik, terima kasih atas kesempatannya. Mohon izin, ini suara saya masuk nggak ya, Pak? Sudah bisa terdengar. Untuk itu kami mempunyai beberapa fakultas, dapat dilihat di sini. There is Faculty of Law and the Faculty of Economic, Faculty of Teaching and Education Science, Faculty of Social and Political Science, Faculty of Agriculture and Faculty of Engineering, Faculty of Medicine, and we have postgraduate program. And then the next, for the Faculty of Medicine, barangkali Bapak Ibu sekalian, untuk Fakultas Medicine ini merupakan fakultas kebanggaan dari kami, artinya untuk wilayah Ciayu Majakuning, yang tadi saya sebutkan, wilayah Indramayu, Majalengka, Kuningan, dan Cirebon, hanya satu-satunya universitas ataupun perguruan tinggi yang mempunyai fakultas kedokteran, seperti itu. Kemudian berikutnya, the next slide, please. Next slide. Slide berikutnya. Ya, hal yang mendorong dengan internasionalisasi UGJ-nya. Jadi kami mempunyai visi, Bapak Ibu sekalian. Visi kami adalah menjadi perguruan tinggi riset unggulan yang berbasis kearifan lokal, kemudian menuju tataran global. Nah, local wisdom global university ini menjadi acuan kami, artinya untuk melakukan kolaborasi dengan beberapa perguruan tinggi, dan juga sekarang ini kami kembangkan tidak hanya dengan perguruan tinggi, kami juga kembangkan kolaborasi dengan dunia industri. Salah satunya kami dengan dunia industri di Singapura, kami lakukan kolaborasi itu. Kemudian berikutnya yang menjadi spirit budaya mutu kami. Spirit budaya mutu kami adalah tagline pintar. Di sini pintar ada performance, kemudian integrity, kemudian networking. Nah, networking inilah yang menjadi salah satu yang menjadi acuan kami juga untuk selalu melakukan kolaborasi dengan baik dengan dunia internasional. Kemudian yang lainnya adalah trust maintenance. Kami selalu memelihara kepercayaan baik masyarakat maupun stakeholder lainnya yang bekerja sama dengan kami, ataupun kami memelihara dengan baik kebutuhan mahasiswa secara menyeluruh untuk kegiatan ataupun untuk peningkatan secara akademik. Karena kepercayaan dari masyarakat merupakan hal fundamental yang akan kami jaga. Kemudian berikutnya ada achievement motivation dan juga religious. Nah, untuk religious ini kami sesuai dengan posisi kami berada di Cirebon, yang dimana kota Cirebon ini merupakan kota peninggalan dari salah satu 9 wali, yaitu Sunan Gunung Jati. Kami memelihara nilai-nilai itu, nilai-nilai religi ini. Kemudian next slide berikutnya, ya, ini bisa dilihat. Kami mempunyai juga seni-seni sanggar seni budaya, Bapak Ibu sekalian, yang dikelola oleh UKM unit kegiatan mahasiswa kami di kampus, dapat kita lihat bersama. Kemudian next slide. Nah, ini baru kita masuk ke internationalisasi of UGJ-nya. Untuk internationalisasi of UGJ, we have 20 leading universities over the world, maybe 21 universities. Kemudian Bapak Ibu sekalian, untuk universitas ini, internationalisasi of UGJ ini menjalin kerjasama ataupun kolaborasi dengan beberapa universitas yang tadi saya sebutkan, baik dalam maupun luar negeri. Salah satunya we say thank you to Tarlac Agricultural University, kemudian Rajamangala University, kemudian juga ada Puache University, dan semuanya. Pada kesempatan ini yang 3 universitas yang saya sebutkan tadi, terima kasih telah bersedia nanti menjadi narasumber dalam acara webinar kali ini untuk universitas kami. Kemudian korporasi juga telah saya sebutkan, kita sudah ataupun kami telah melakukan korporasi salah satunya dengan salah satu korporasi yang berada di Singapura. Kemudian Bapak Ibu sekalian, cultural first, di awal juga saya sampaikan bahwa beragam budaya yang kami miliki di Kota Cirebon ini menjadi kekuatan kami untuk menawarkan kolaborasi-kolaborasi selain juga dari peningkatan mutu akademik yang kami punyai. Peningkatan mutu akademik yang kami punyai sepanjang tahun, tadi di awal sudah saya sebutkan per tahun bahwa kita melalui lonjakan-lonjakan peringkat yang diberikan oleh Kemendikbud, juga lembaga-lembaga lain yang melakukan peringkatan bagi universitas maupun perguruan tinggi seperti itu. Kemudian di sini yang di awal juga tadi saya sebutkan bahwa kami merupakan universitas terbesar Bapak Ibu sekalian, Best Performing Research and Development. Kami berkonsentrasi pada penelitian, kemudian dengan bukti-bukti mendapatkan lembaga penelitian kami mendapatkan penilaian dari Kemendikbud pun dengan klaster utama untuk peringkat dari lembaga penelitian kami. Artinya kami membuktikan kepada masyarakat bahwa untuk Research and Development University UGJ ini merupakan Research and Development yang terbesar di area Cirebon. Itu Bapak Ibu sekalian. Selain itu juga menunjukkan kinerja-kinerja akademik, kemahasiswaan juga telah saya sebutkan. Kemudian tidak lupa untuk sarana prasarana maupun pelayanan-pelayanan kepada mahasiswa dan masyarakat, kami juga selalu melakukan peningkatan. Nah, ini barangkali yang salah satu gambar yang Bapak Ibu lihat ini merupakan aula ataupun auditorium yang kami miliki, dan sekarang ini mempunyai kapasitas 3.000 peserta di dalamnya, ataupun kapasitas 33.000 orang kami bisa menampung dalam satu area auditorium. Nah, ini juga hal yang mengagumkan buat kami. Ibu sekalian, kemudian di sini ada creative approach to learning. Nah, untuk creative approach to learning, kita dapat ataupun kita lah menggunakan dan menjalankan ide-ide kreatif dalam pembelajaran ya Bapak Ibu sekalian, terutama di masa era sekarang yang orang bilang ada era 4.0, bahkan 5.0, bahkan mungkin di Jepang sendiri informasinya sudah nyampe 6.0 ya. Kemudian juga mendukung kebijakan dari Mas Menteri Pendidikan dan Kebudayaan Indonesia, tadi disampaikan oleh Bu Erni, ada Merdeka Belajar dan Kampus Merdeka, seperti itu. Untuk menyikapi hal ini ataupun melaksanakan kebijakan dari Kementerian Kebudayaan, Merdeka Belajar dan Kampus Merdeka, kami menjalankan ide kreatif dalam pembelajarannya, yang salah satunya adalah di sini ada research, culture, inform, and enhance all aspect to teaching and learning. Ini merupakan salah satu alasan juga bagi kami, selain dari visi yang saya sebutkan di atas, mengapa UGJ begitu percaya diri melakukan kolaborasi dengan dunia internasional dan nasional tentunya. Di sini kami menerapkan budaya penelitian ya Bapak Ibu sekalian, menerapkan budaya penelitian dan pengabdian kepada masyarakat dalam setiap pembelajarannya. Artinya dalam setiap pembelajaran kami, baik di kelas maupun di luar kelas, tidak melulu knowledge yang kami berikan kepada mahasiswa, tapi juga kami memacu para mahasiswa tersebut para mahasiswa dosen untuk melakukan dan mengembangkan penelitian serta pengabdian kepada masyarakat yang menjadi kewajiban utama dari Tridharma perguruan tinggi, seperti itu. Kemudian Bapak Ibu sekalian, di sini juga ada budaya yang beragam ya, budaya yang beragam yang ditawarkan di dunia internasional, yang saya sebutkan juga bahwa kami punya tari topeng dan seterusnya ya, ada budaya batik dan seterusnya, apalagi memang secara kultur masyarakat di social culture masyarakat Cirebon juga terdiri dari multi etnis seperti itu. Kalian di era teknologi industri seperti sekarang yang saya sebutkan, tentu terbuka juga banyak peluang-peluang di sini. Banyak peluang-peluang bagi kita untuk saling bertukar informasi, pengalaman dan sebagainya melalui kolaborasi antar perguruan tinggi, terutama antar kami dengan beberapa perguruan tinggi baik luar dan dalam negeri seperti itu. Di sini untuk kurikulumnya sendiri Bapak Ibu ataupun adik-adik peserta webinar dalam kesempatan kali ini, kurikulum yang kami berikan kepada mahasiswa di bidang akademik ini sangat fundamental sekali, artinya sangat mendasar bagi kehidupan kampus. Kami memberlakukan kurikulum yang progresif, inovatif, sehingga tertanam motivasi dalam diri mahasiswa maupun dosen untuk terus melakukan pengembangan keilmuan secara akademik sepanjang hayatnya, ataupun sepanjang kita ataupun kami dalam lingkup perguruan tinggi, kami tidak akan pernah bosan melakukan pengembangan akademik yang bertujuan untuk peningkatan dari inovasi-inovasi yang dipunyai oleh mahasiswa dan para dosen seperti itu. Nah, Bapak Ibu sekalian, di sini kami sampaikan ada beberapa dokumentasi. There is a documentation for our collaboration, beberapa kegiatan kolaborasi. Dokumentasinya bisa lanjut ke slide berikutnya. Next slide. Yes. Nah, ini juga our partners for collaboration. Nah, Bapak Ibu sekalian, untuk aktivitas kolaborasinya tadi disampaikan juga oleh Bu Evi bahwa dalam rangka Merdeka Belajar juga kampus Merdeka, area dari cooperation ya Bu Evi ya, bahwa ada bilateral cooperation, kemudian juga ada multilateral. Nah, kami baik bilateral maupun multilateral, kami mempunyai activities. Di sini ada joint research and publication, yang tentunya joint research ini kami berikan kesempatan kepada dosen-dosen pengajar kami, lecturer and student kami untuk melakukan joint research pada perguruan tinggi baik di dalam maupun di luar negeri. Kemudian Bapak Ibu sekalian, sesuai dengan tujuannya tadi disampaikan oleh Bu Evi, tujuan dari adanya kolaborasi ataupun internationalisasi ya, tujuan dari internationalisasi higher education-nya salah satunya adalah gitu kan. Nah, kami kuat di social culture, kemudian di sini makanya ada student exchange juga kami lakukan ya. Student exchange ini telah kami jalin barangkali kalau dengan QUOTA University itu sejak tahun 2014 kami lakukan student exchange, dan rutin tiap tahun kami kirimkan ya. Untuk era sekarang pandemi jadi agak kami pending. Kemudian juga we say thank you to Tarlac Agricultural University untuk program transfer kredit di tahun ini ya. Alhamdulillah 6 orang mahasiswa kami dapat melakukan exchange untuk melakukan menimba ilmu di Tarlac University yang difasilitasi oleh Kementerian Kebudayaan Nasional. Kemudian Bapak Ibu sekalian, di sini juga ada academic visit, juga kami rutin melakukan. Salah satunya mungkin kami dengan salah satu perguruan tinggi di Malaysia, the UITM itu kami juga lakukan academic visit, QUOTA University, Rajamangala University gitu ya, juga Tarlac University. Kemudian untuk aktivitas yang lainnya dari kolaborasi ini ataupun dari internationalisasi Universitas Swadaya Gunung Jati, memiliki kami adanya sending lecturer to take master and or Ph.D. Nah, salah satunya adalah kepala kantor urusan internasional kami, ya, ataupun office affair internasional kami, yaitu Dr. Gara Rajadenta. Nah, itu beliau adalah lulusan ataupun alumni dari QUOTA University. Kemudian masih ada beberapa dosen kami juga lulusan dari luar negeri, Ph.D.-nya ada dari Amerika, kemudian juga ada dari Australia. Nah, ini merupakan bukti nyata bahwa kolaborasi ataupun internasionalisasi yang menjadi tagline UGJ ataupun Swadaya Gunung Jati ini secara sungguh-sungguh kami lakukan, secara sungguh-sungguh kami melakukannya dengan sama begitu, dengan adanya sending lecturer to take master or Ph.D. seperti itu. Kemudian Bapak Ibu sekalian, berikutnya ini yang ada di tayangan ini adalah fasilitas-fasilitas budaya yang kami miliki. Rangkaian tadi yang dari atas, kalau yang sebelumnya adalah tampilan mahasiswa di bidang seni dan budaya. Nah, ini merupakan hanya salah satu saja Bapak Ibu sekalian, salah satu dokumentasi fasilitas kebudayaan yang kami miliki yang bisa kami tawarkan ke dunia internasional seperti itu. Next slide. Nah, di sini juga ada student service yang tak kalah menjadi perhatian kita ataupun pertimbangan Bapak Ibu ataupun adik-adik yang ingin bergabung dengan kami tentunya di Swadaya Gunung Jati. Jangan ragu ya Bapak Ibu, karena kami juga konsentrasi ataupun kami selalu meningkatkan kualitas untuk student service-nya. Antara lain kita punya international office yang digawangi tadi oleh Dr. Gara Ph.D. ya. Kemudian juga support dari fakulti, support dari fakultas untuk pengembangan semuanya, pengembangan baik pengembangan akademik, bakat, minat, bakat mahasiswa, ya. Kemudian kita disupport oleh 7 fakultas tadi yang saya sebutkan di atas, 7 fakultas plus postgraduate-nya. Kalau postgraduate-nya kita mempunyai 4 program studi Bapak Ibu sekalian. Nah, kami mohon doanya, nanti kami sedang memproses beberapa program studi yang sedang kami ajukan ke Kementerian Kebudayaan. Insya Allah ini akan menambah kemajemukan dari universitas kami seperti itu. Nah, untuk masyarakat, adik-adik ataupun Bapak Ibu ya, masyarakat dari baik di dalam Cirebon sendiri, Jawa Barat, nasional maupun bahkan internasional, nggak usah khawatir, kami juga mempunyai beberapa fasilitas penginapan ataupun dormitory ya Bapak Ibu. Dormitory ini letaknya tidak jauh dari kampus kami. Artinya dormitory yang kami miliki sangat representatif, bisa kita lihat dalam tayangan slide ini. Di tayangan slide yang Bapak Ibu bisa dilihat sangat bersih, kemudian elegan ya, jadi nggak usah khawatir ataupun bingung barangkali ketika ingin bergabung dengan kami yang berasal dari wilayah luar daerah Cirebon. Nah, seperti itu Bapak Ibu. Nah, inilah dormitory kami. Kemudian berikutnya adalah, nah, yang saya sebutkan juga sebelumnya bahwa kami Universitas Swadaya Gunung Jati mempunyai kebanggaan. Salah satunya adalah di kami terdapat fakultas kedokteran atau medicine faculty. Medicine faculty ini merupakan satu-satunya di wilayah Ciayu Majakuning yang resmi meliputi Indramayu, Majalengka, Kuningan dan Cirebon sendiri. Cirebonnya ada Cirebon Raya, Cirebon Kota maupun Kabupaten Cirebon. Nah, untuk Faculty of Medicine juga kami tidak akan pernah berhenti untuk memberikan hal terbaik bagi masyarakat maupun bagi pengembangan akademik. Bagi pengembangan akademik yang lainnya, kami mempunyai klinik center ataupun pusat kesehatan Bapak Ibu sekalian, dan yang membanggakan di tahun ataupun di era pandemi COVID-19 ini kami dipercaya oleh pemerintah kami mempunyai laboratorium pemeriksaan swab dengan standar BSL 2 dari Kementerian Kesehatan yang didukung juga oleh Provinsi Jawa Barat, dan tentunya yayasan kami juga, yayasan, rektorat, semuanya bersatu padu membangun ataupun memberikan sumbangsi terbaik bagi masyarakat di era pandemi COVID-19 ini, seperti itu. Nah, berikutnya Bapak Ibu sekalian, next slide. Ya, oke. Jadi Bapak Ibu, adik-adik dan hadirin yang berbahagia di kesempatan kali ini, internasionalisasi UGJ merupakan hal yang artinya yang kami simpan gitu kan dalam sebuah pedoman bahwa nama Universitas Swadaya Gunung Jati memang layak. Artinya layak bersanding dengan universitas-universitas di seluruh antero penjuru dunia, universitas-universitas terkenal dan universitas-universitas besar di seluruh dunia, karena kami selalu melakukan pengembangan baik akademik, pelayanan mahasiswa dan sebagainya, sarana prasarana itu kami tidak akan pernah berhenti. Kami selalu akan memacu diri memberikan hal yang terbaik bagi masyarakat dan untuk menggaungkan atau menggemarkan nama Universitas Swadaya Gunung Jati baik di kancah nasional maupun internasional, seperti itu. Baik, demikian tadi mungkin yang dapat saya berikan. Untuk pertanyaan-pertanyaan selanjutnya barangkali nanti bisa di-kolek oleh moderator ya. Demikian atas kesempatannya saya sampaikan, terima kasih, thank you, see you next. Saya kembalikan ke Dr. Negara dan Miss Lia, silakan, terima kasih.
Yeah, thank you very much for Ibu Siti Humayah SH M.Si for presenting with the theme UGJ Goes to International. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, in this webinar UGJ Talks 3, we may continue to the third speaker. Yeah, hello? Can you hear my voice? Okay. Well, we are going to the next third speaker is Madam Christine Nabor Ferrer. Dr. Christine Nabor Ferrer is a faculty of the College of Education of the Tarlac Agricultural University and currently serves as the Director for External Linkage and International Affairs. She finished her Doctor of Education, major in Educational Management at the Pangasinan State University in 2009 and earned special program certificates on Communication Series program at the Ateneo de Manila Graduate School of Business, Asian Leaders Program in Singapore and New York from Common Purpose and Asian Foundation, and internationalization of higher educations in Canada from the Canadian Bureau of International Education and the Commission on Higher Education. And she has been many experiences as a keynote speaker. Yeah, her professional engagement has also widened international, as she has also been invited in Global Presidential Forum in 2018 in Taiwan, BCCIE Conference in 2018 in Canada, the Urgency of Internationalization of Higher Education in Indonesia, SEAMEO or SEAMEO China Twinning Program in 2018 in China, and SEMEO Network Meeting in Malaysia, International Conference on Emerging Trends in Cultural and Sport Tourism in Taiwan, and also an international seminar enhancing institutional brand through international partnership in Indonesia. Well, for Professor Christine Nabor Ferrer, time is yours. Yeah, your voice is very clear, ma'am.
I'm very grateful for the opportunity given to me by our partner, Universitas Swadaya Gunung Jati, one of our about 17 let me also give my gratitude to the Rector of UGJ, Associate Professor Dr. Mukarto Siswoyo. Sir, good afternoon. To the officials of UGG and the coordinators of the international office whom I have been communicating with for the past months as we um, work on the acceptance of 6 of their students for the credit transfer mobility program at Tarlac Agricultural University. Your students are now joining our virtual classes and are immersed with Filipino students in their classes for this semester. So let me start by, and of course I would also like to say hi to the other speakers who are with us this afternoon. My respect to all of you too for also bringing in fresh insights on how we can still move on with our internationalization activities despite the challenges that we have during the pandemic. So please allow me now to present to you my talk about reimagining higher education in the new normal, inclusive and innovative internationalization. When at the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic, we are all struck by the thought that it might be the end or the death of internationalization because foreign travels have been restricted. There was a stop of inbound and outbound mobility of our students and faculty. Actually, at the onset, like what somewhat in March, um, we thought we won't be able to continue with our internationalization activities because of this um, difficulties that we are encountering. But slowly, we were able to come up with brilliant ideas with our partner institutions, and now we have virtual collaboration activities such as these. I'd like to share to you some of a bit of our internationalization crossroads, the backgrounder of our internationalization program, the past, what we were doing with our internationalization, the present as we recalibrate, reimagine, and reprioritize our internationalization activities, and of course, the future of um, internationalization in terms of innovation, inclusion, and interconnectivity. So how do we go about this now? Um, as I was saying, despite the challenges that we have encountered at the beginning of the pandemic that has really affected our internationalization programs, we are now implementing a recalibrated and reimagined internationalization. So um, as we institutionalize our internationalization program, we always have to be clear about our vision. So what does our vision say about internationalization? How do we integrate our activities or internationalization activities as this would support our vision, mission, goals, and objectives? So this has to be clear and integrated at the onset. So what does it mean for us in internationalization in the new normal? And one big question is, will internationalization survive the new normal? Or will it be a death of internationalization? But as what we are seeing now, it's actually a rebirth of a new form of internationalization. Well, for us universities that have anticipated what's going to happen, we have been doing virtual activities before. And this is something that we have anticipated, even virtual learning. So we did not necessarily need to have a negative reaction, but as leaders of educational institutions, we have already anticipated this. So it was easier for us to adapt in this new scheme of education. And another one good point raised by Steve Smith is that even if there is a pandemic, we must still keep fighting for internationalization. It is one thing that is worth fighting for. As we have moved from our activities from physical to virtual, it is it is a proper time for us to focus on internationalization of the curriculum now, which becomes more inclusive and encompassing, that even with the students who do not have passports, even for the faculty or students who cannot afford to pay for international tickets, they can still be involved in internationalization activities now because the cost is low. We don't necessarily have to spend much, except of course we have the gadgets or tools for communication and internet connectivity. Okay, so another point raised by Barbara Lorber and Samba and Prem is that post-COVID internationalization must be more flexible. So even after we survive this COVID pandemic, we have to balance the potential of remote learning with the benefits of student mobility or skills. While internationalization will continue to offer numerous benefits post-COVID, it can only continue to flourish if universities embrace the challenges and adapt quickly to the new world where we are entering. And I believe that this is something that we are doing now. It's easier for us to adapt because we have anticipated this. And so another um, point raised by Robin Matthews Helms with the higher education today, can internationalization survive coronavirus? So even there's a current damper on international mobility, and this is actually unfortunate for all of us since we cannot do international travels. But there's one good news according to him, because the most powerful lever for student global learning is not moving people back and forth. It's what's really happening in our own campuses. Our efforts to internationalize the curriculum and co-curriculum to add research and social services, and how we engage our faculty to integrate internationalization in their classes. And it's equally important that there should be leadership, empowerment, accountability, and development in this time of the pandemic. Because if there is one person who would really be the champion of internationalization, it's always the head of the institution plus strong administrative support, so that the academic and research departments of the organization will be more motivated to do internationalization activities, because this would entail still support for policies and implementation and the willingness of the people to work on it. Because even there is no physical mobility, there is still a lot of effort that we put into internationalization. Actually, our office hours go beyond what is required of us. Even if it's already 6 p.m., 7 p.m., your internationalization officers are still communicating. Okay. So there are a lot of challenges and opportunities for internationalization, which includes internships, inclusivity, global citizenship, and virtual mobility. At the Tarlac Agricultural University, we implement our internationalization activities through this internationalization pyramid. So as you can see there, we have three components. So first is about partnerships. This is the base of our internationalization. This is our this is our link with the research institutions, government agencies, academic linkages, private industries, and of course our alumni. And when we have already established our partnerships, it's proper time that we also have to um, capacitate our assets and resources, our faculty, identifying our niche programs and research, tapping our alumni, communicating with our students who would like to be involved in mobility, putting in the infrastructure, of course, for physical mobility. Before, we have to prepare our school dormitories, but for now, the infrastructure would be a reliable internet connectivity. And then, of course, our academic programs, we have to do curriculum benchmarking and technology support. Once we have capacitated this already, we have strong partnerships, we have capable assets and resources, then it's easier for us to do activities like collaborative online international learning, as well as virtual exchanges. So partnerships in the new normal are more innovative, inclusive, and interconnected. So for our ISIN priorities in the new normal, we categorize this into instruction, research and extension, and of course, quality assurance that we will be discussing in the next slide. In terms of the internationalization of the curriculum, what are we doing now? How about in your universities? You may type in the activities that you are doing to internationalize your curriculum in our chat box. Maybe we can see that we have the same strategies also in terms of our efforts to internationalize our curriculum. And in the case of the Tarlac Agricultural University, these are our ways of internationalizing our curriculum. We are doing flexible learning. We integrate massive open online courses and open educational resources in our class syllabus. And then, of course, we are doing collaborative online international learning by also inviting guest lecturers in our classes at the Tarlac Agricultural University. The focus of our curriculum now is more on sustainable development, the SDGs, global citizenship education, and digital citizenship. And these are the needs not only of the students, but more so of our faculty as well. Because for us to be for us to really implement flexible learning, more than the preparedness of our students, is the preparedness and the willingness of our faculty. So, in order to prepare our faculty, we must have to give them the right tools, the right training, and the right perspective, and to really address their concerns and to also help them because during this time we have a lot of pressures, we have a lot of anxiety, so they really need that support from the universities that they are working with. So among the virtual activities that we have done is with the Bogor Agricultural University, our students became our students and faculty became participants in their summer courses. We're also doing a UMAP COIL joint program with the Kansai University in Japan, and we are also doing an exchange program for e-internship with the ITS in Surabaya, and then other students. Our about 32 students in veterinary medicine of TA were also attending virtual classes at Erlanga University, and our students have also applied for the East Java Exploration. As you can see, Indonesia is really our strongest partner in terms of internationalization. And now we are doing credit transfer activities with this university splash on the board. And in terms of internationalization of research and curriculum, this is something that's worth exploring also, whether universities are here with us today and are willing to join us in our endeavor to propel research and extension during this pandemic, as we do peer review or research refereeing, co-tutel and mentoring, as well as research and collaboration grants that we can work on. Um, these are the strategic activities that we can do to internationalize research. So this is an opportunity for us to vote in, and also we must not leave behind the internationalization of quality assurance, and this may focus on our involvement with the ASEAN University Network, application for QS Stars evaluation, because for smaller universities like us who might be having difficulty in participating in the QS ranking, then QS Stars may be our alternative. And if your university is involved or is more into integrating the sustainable development goals, then we can at least explore applying for the Times Higher Education Impact Ranking. So these are some of the strategic activities that we have. And so let me end by saying, by sharing this words from Professor Don Freshwater, that our universities will remain vital places for the development of global citizens. It's high time that we must also um, We must also involve our faculty and students to know what's really happening all over the world, so that education must not only be confined in the books, but they must also be exposed to real life situations, because these real life situations will be their stepping stone and will be their preparation for employment in the future. And of course, for our teachers, they must have a wider perspective, so that this is something that they can share to the students. Because as they say, you cannot pour from an empty cup, and you cannot share what you do not have. So what kind of knowledge can we share to our students if we don't have enough? So our university that thinks internationally is based in the local economy but works for the purpose of national and regional development. That's why we have to integrate sustainable development goals in our operations, and also we must be very vocal in incorporating the national development goals in our curriculum and in the identification of researches that we are going to implement in our respective institutions. Okay, so in behalf of the Tarlac Agricultural University, Office of External Linkages and International Affairs, I'd like to thank you for the opportunity that you have given us this afternoon, for allowing us to share our experiences and our perspectives on internationalization in this new normal. So that's it, ma'am, moderator. Maybe if there are questions later on, I'd be very much willing to answer. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Christine Nabor, the Director of External Linkage and International Affairs, Tarlac Agricultural University. Okay, so from Philippines, we are going to
Thailand. Yeah, we
we
have
have
already Dr. Nico Irawan, the International College Rajamangala University of Technology, Krungthep, Thailand.
Yeah, good afternoon for Mr. Nico Irawan. Yeah, thank you so much for providing your time to be in this webinar UGJ Talks 3. Well, for all the participants here that today, so we will hear from the presentation from Mr. Nico Irawan. But as we know that Mr. Nico Irawan is a full-time lecturer in International College Rajamangala University of Technology, Krungthep, Thailand. And then his working experience as an assistant dean right now in International College of Rajamangala University of Technology, Krungthep, Thailand. And then he was a head of international affairs of International College of the same university, Rajamangala University of Technology, Krungthep, Thailand. And then until right now, he is a lecturer in English education for business and management of ICUTK. And then he became overseas speaker, journal editor, reviewer, and then as a project runner with INTO Glasgow Caledonian University, United of Kingdom. And he's and as an educational consultant until right now. He has so many experience as a keynote speaker, and then you know that especially that he has been as a as a keynote speaker in decision making to public participant in our campus, Universitas Swadaya Gunung Jati, or UGJ in 2018. Well, with the theme moving forward for internationalization of higher education during COVID-19 outbreak, please, Mr. Nico Irawan, time is yours.
Yes, you can try again, please.
stay abroad. Before, when I stay in Indonesia, I also have some experiences. And I moved to Thailand and I created the experiences again until now. Okay, my last experience is assistant dean in the International College of Rajamangala University of Technology, Krungthep, Thailand. I handle some partnership, especially Indonesia, because I am also Indonesian people until now, and I expand partnership not only in Indonesia but also in UK. And my last trip with my student in United Kingdom, Scotland, if I'm not mistaken, into Glasgow Caledonian University. And making the international affair is my hobby, my preference since I stayed in Indonesia until I moved to Thailand. And how can we do the partnership? First, we have the same ideas. We have the same teamwork because I work for Thailand and I must be loyal for my university. I expand my partnership collaborations in Asia. We do in Europe, we do in UK and America also. And we also have the goals, and we also have the evaluations for the growth of the partnership. And of course, in our ICUTK, as you know, that international college has an English curriculum, so it's convenient for us to expand the collaboration, especially when we have a lot of students from foreigners, from abroad, and they can study in ICUTK because we have the English curriculum. And then how to run the international affair? For the first time, we should have the introduction like today I speak in UGJ and I meet the partnership from Philippines, the partnership from France, and from Indonesia itself also. So we have introduction. And from the introduction, we usually have keep in touch. We share the mobile phone or email, and we extend the collaboration, and we try to have the mutual understanding, such as we can share implementation program, such as exchange student, sit-in student, and we try to visit usually before COVID-19, before pandemic, almost every month I go abroad and I try to visit and revisit sometimes my partnership, visit the ICUTK or we visit ICUTK. We visit the university abroad. And we try to discuss more and more based on the agreement, based on the umbrella. Our umbrella is a MOU signing. And try to be trusted and analyze the risk of the program. And from the mutual understanding, both our program can be matched each other. And recognize new people will be more beneficial. I have a lot of friends, not only from Indonesia, but also from UK, because we always keep in touch. And from India also, I noticed in this webinar, there are a lot of students of Professor Ravindra from University of Lucknow. I think it's good for starting point, good for the collaborations, extended partnership. And then the social media is the tool to know each other. Sometimes Facebook or Instagram is a tool for socialization, especially for the partnership program. And time is more convenient, but now everything is virtual. Like I stay in Thailand now, I cannot go back to Indonesia because pandemic and some process if I go to Indonesia, but we still can meet each other in Zoom meeting. And aware and keep the promise for the negotiations every this is based on the agreement. I quote from, because I teach cross-culture management in my university, I try to quote this reference that when we try to own the partnership, we need to master this theory, such as the observation and behavior. Observation means we start the partnership. What we want, our partnership also have a willing to implement and try to interviews and survey and interpretation. We have the interpretation and we have belief and assumption also. that is the navigating the seas of the international business. But when we implement in the partnership, it's possible. And I would like to introduce my university. As you know, that Rajamangala University of Technology, Thailand, has 9 universities with the 35 campuses throughout the country. So I come from Krungthep. Krungthep means Bangkok. So my university, Rajamangala University of Technology Krungthep, located in Bangkok. Because when you only mention that I want to go to Rajamangala University, oh, what does it mean? Rajamangala. Rajamangala is stadium. But in Thai Sanskrit, Thai language is Rajamangala, and must have the last name, the location, Krungthep, Sriwijaya, Chiang Mai, and etc. And then this is because we are from the public university under the Minister of Education also, and I am from the Faculty of International College, and we can say ICUTK. And the ICUTK provide for Thai and international students, and we have a lot of students. We also have the vision. The vision is dedicated to developing graduates to have morality and knowledge, as well as to have international level. So we produce the student have the international minded, international skill. And then we also have the mission. From the mission, we have to provide an internationally based on level instruction. Like we have the English curriculum. When you come to UTK, maybe after COVID-19 finish, and you can come to Thailand. Last time before COVID, Universitas Swadaya Gunung Jati, I think twice or 3 times come to ICUTK to do the share learning. You will see the picture later. And to conduct the research and develop innovations. Of course, we need to have the good innovations for our students, and to support and to provide appropriate various kind of academic to promote, support, and sharing culture and environment conservation, and also to manage the administration organization. And of course, we have the strategy based on the international level, such as instruction, supporting, providing academic, providing activity, and managing and administrating. And before COVID-19, we were so active to do that because I was in charge. I was assistant dean for the international affair, and I have a decision to manage the international. And you know, we have the international collaborations. This is the last update, MOU around 292 university and MOA, and also in the process. This is the active in United States in Thailand. And we also have the project collaborations such as from the full-time student until the international conference. So that's why before COVID-19, before COVID-19, almost every week the guests come to our university in ICUTK, and we have international atmosphere. And this is the activity when we had the international conference in 2018, and from UPI Bandung, Universitas Pendidikan Indonesia Bandung, come to our university for performs the culture. And then we also have the full-time students from many countries. Now the dominations from China. We have a lot of Chinese students from China mainland. And Indonesia also we have, but they already graduated. And like this, they are from Surabaya. There are 2-year students. From last year, we already graduated around 9 students, and 2018 we had 1. And this year, we also graduate around 3 students. So that's why we are so active. And sometimes the university from Indonesia invite us to join the activities such as the summer program. I send the student, and me also. I come to Surabaya, to UNESA, and then they join the and then we also send the students on the project-based learning in Universitas Muhammadiyah Malang, Malang Suara, Indonesia also. And then we also send the students to Japan in 2017, and also we have exchange students to send to Japan, and Japan come to our university, and we send students to Gajah Mada University in 2018, and then exchange students are so active from Germany, from Copenhagen, from Croatia, and then this, I think, when you see this picture, is there are 2 students from UGJ, and exchange student as an exchange student. And we welcome the party as the ritual every exchange student, and we share Indonesian culture. This from UPI Bandung, we play angklung also, and I collect the students from Korea, from China, from Cambodia, from Vietnam, from Indonesia itself, and then we do the farewell party, of course. So after everything finished, we give the certificate, and not only they study in the classroom, but also they need to study about the environment, such as the public volunteer and the Grand Village. They are from Japanese and Indonesia, Japanese and Indonesian students. Because exchange students, our target, they learn about Thai culture. Not only they finish the subject, but also they must know about the Thai culture. And this is a sitting program, usually only for 1 month. And then share learning, I think this is master degree, if I'm not mistaken, 2018, I think, from UGJ, the last time the name is Swadaya. And then partnership. We also have from Timor-Leste, we are so active, we have from Indonesia, we have more than 100 universities from Indonesia, I can't mention one by one. And we also have from India, such as Chitara, Sarda, and etc. We visited last 2019, we visited Chitara University, India. We also visited Thai Embassy in India, and we also have a lot of students from China. This is a very active country from China. We also have, and then South Korea. Until now, I still teach 6 countries, 6 country students, such as from Korea. This is Jo Yun-ha from Korea. They study with me with the cross-cultural management. And we also have from Japan, like exchange student, Cambodia, we also have full-time student and exchange student. And Myanmar, we also have the teacher from Myanmar. And we also have a partnership from Europe, such as the Denmark, Copenhagen. Since 2015, they always send at the minimum 55 students from Copenhagen. They study in ICUTK around 2 weeks for the business academic. And they also send from Sweden, Karlstad University, even only 1 every year. They are so active. And then Germany, Wolfsburg also, sometimes they send 7 students, or they send 10 students, or 1 student. Also, England, we also have the double degree MOU, and Czech Republic, and Spain. And this is we also have the exchange student from this university, IQS, and Croatia, Switzerland. We do the research with the Switzerland last time, 2018. And then Russia, we signed the MOU, and then Glasgow, Caledonian. This is the university I tried to promote university in Thailand. I came to UK by myself, and my students joined the winter camp in Glasgow, and this is the city of Glasgow College. I come here by myself with my friend, and also I try to extend again partnership in Glasgow as the revisit, because last time they visit our university, joined the international conference, and they are students from Cambodia. They are also my students, join this activity. So we need to be active. We have the umbrella as a MOU signing. I am the one to do to implement the action activity. This is now coronavirus COVID-19. How can we solve? How to international the higher education? We have the platform now. We have Zoom. We have Google Meet. We have TikTok. I think in Indonesia is not familiar with TikTok, but if you teach Chinese student, of course you need to have TikTok, because if you use Zoom, I think you cannot catch them. In China, Zoom is not easy to open it, and so you use TikTok. and digital. Like we also have activity with UPS, Pancasakti Tegal, like a joint master degree. I think last 2 weeks or last week, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So, and also we have, I am the representative to say congratulations for Universitas Asia Surakarta that from Stikes Asia become the Universitas Asia Surakarta. So, how to start relationship? Answer is mutual understanding with each other. Yeah, this is my activity, our activity in SCGTK before COVID-19 and also after COVID. So everything depends on our university and our planning how to implement the partnership. I think, thank you so much for my explanation. Okay.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Nico.
Very nice presentations. So we are going to the last speaker. Now we will go fly to France, to Poitiers. We have already Mr. Jean-Marie Pincemin, the Director of International Relations, University of Poitiers, France. Bonjour, monsieur. Comment allez-vous? Oui, bonjour. Ça va? Okay, so before we start, Miss Leah will let the participant know about your curriculum vitae. Please, Miss Leah.
Well, good afternoon for Dr. Jean-Marie Pincemin. Good afternoon, sir. Hello, sir. Yeah. Thank you for Mr. Jean-Marie Pincemin. And actually that we would like to, everybody knows that Mr. Jean-Marie Pincemin, before participating in here, Mr. Jean-Marie Pincemin got in an accident. That was very bad news, yes, sir. And then you got a surgery section, and then you have been treated in hospital. We are very sorry to hear that, and then hopefully that you will be better and better and get well soon, sir. Yeah, and thank you very much for your participation here, and then we do really appreciate about that. Okay, for all the participants, we would like to inform you that Mr. Jean-Marie Pincemin has been working in managing and developing international cooperation in research and doctoral studies for more than 15 years in NGOs, national research institutes and universities. And since 2015, he worked as a Mary Sklodowska Curie Action NCP, or National Contact Point for the Ministry of Higher Education and Research, or what we call MESRI, to advise potential application to the program. And since 2015, he has also been in charge of the development of Indonesian cooperation at the University of Poitiers via Erasmus, or plus a KA 107 program. And then he is so interested in project dealing with internationalization, transfer skill as a networking, communication, social networks, and promotion of European funding programs Erasmus and Horizon 2020. And then Mr. Jean-Marie Pincemin has a special expert for recruiting research or international cooperation staff selected by French Ministry of Higher Education and Research. Well, for Mr. Jean-Marie Pincemin, with the theme effective strategies in the internationalization of higher education during the COVID-19 pandemic, time is yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the invitation, and I want to start by saying thank you to Rector Siswoyo from Universitas Gunung Jati, whom I had the pleasure to see both in Cirebon and Poitiers. I give my greetings also to Ibu Mulyani from the Ministry of Education and Culture, and all my colleagues and distinguished guests. Thank you all for sharing this floor with me. Gara, if you can you show my presentation, or shall I share it from my computer?
C'est bon.
Merci. So I will start with a short presentation of my university, because it is far away from you, and then I will get into the topic of how we dealt with COVID-19 and how it has changed or not our strategy of internationalization. You switch the slide, please, Gara. So you can see on the map where Poitiers is. So Poitiers is a small city 1.5 hours away from Paris in France. So just to give you an idea, you can move to the next slide. And so in Poitiers, the university is very important because it is a large part of the population and of the activity. We can move to the next slide, please. And so you have information here. We are close to having 28,000 students or 90,000 inhabitants. And in these 28,000 students, we have more than 4,000 international students. And as many European universities, or some at least, we are very old. We were created in the Middle Ages, so created in 1431. And so we are trying to combine very rich heritage and efforts for innovation. Here are a few buildings of the city and the campus of Poitiers. So this slide on the heritage part, and the next slide on the more modern campus.
Young. Mr. Young, excuse me, sir. I'm sorry for interrupting. Do you have any other device which is turned on?
Maybe I should turn off my sound.
All device. I mean that.
Better now?
Yeah. There is some noisy sound. But it's okay. You keep presenting, sir. I'm so sorry.
Sure. No, I don't think so.
Yes, sir. You may continue. You may continue for presenting, sir. Well, Mr. John, you may continue your presenting. We are so very sorry for distracting this one. Yeah, well, for all participants, we just only wait for a while because I think that there is a technical problem in here, but we are still continuing this one. We try to catch Mr. Chiang. Yeah, Mr. John Mary Pincemin has been in. Thank you, sir. Welcome back for Mr. John.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's better now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry about this.
It's okay, sir.
I had some other window open at the same time. Okay, so we can move on to the next slide to show the more modern aspect of the campus with the engineering schools, for example. We are a comprehensive university, so I'm not giving you a lot of detail now, but from history to engineering to chemistry and health, and we are again a comprehensive university, so in Poitiers you can learn about basically every topic. And next slide, please. So I want to move on now to the topic for today regarding the strategies for internationalization of higher education during the COVID-19 and pandemic, and how we coped with this, especially in my university. Next slide. Basically, there was two sides of it. First was the supervision of the sanitary evolution and the adaptation. So I'll just give you a quick information about the timeline and how it happened in Europe and how we are dealing now with students coming back to school nowadays and with the sanitary protocols. And later on I will give you information about the strategies for internationalization. First the French view, and then the European approach, and how we are combining both at my university. Next slide, please. And again. Thank you. As you probably know, in Europe we had the early signs of the COVID pandemic in January. First with our students coming back from China, and then of course the development in Italy and Spain before it really spread over, and we had to react quickly and use confinement. So all the offices and all the classes were locked out since March and over the summer. And at that time it was really crisis management because we had lots of students all over the place, whether abroad or international students at home. And I want to give praise to all the students from Indonesia that were in Poitiers at the time, especially those from Untan in Pontianak and also staff from Universitas Rajamangala, who had to go through those difficult times on the campus and with us, and we hope that we help them to the better to go through this time. And also I want to say hello to the PPI Poitiers team, who also did a great job in sharing and in showing great solidarity among the Indonesian community in Poitiers, and it was a really great example of national solidarity. And very fast, we are now in the new normal academic year, 2021. And as you can see on the picture below, we are adapting and using masks and, when possible, social distancing to organize the teaching this year. We are following, of course, the official recommendations of the Ministry of Health and the regional agency of health. And we are developing also distance learning whenever it is needed. But right now we are receiving instructions from the ministry that are quite positive about the next stages to deal with COVID-19 in France. So we are quite confident that we can start over in an almost normal way. We can go on with the next slide, please. So the strategies. As far as the French strategy, France has continued to promote a big welcome policy for all international students. And here I gave some information that you can find on the Campus France website. And basically, we are only requesting incoming students to take tests before they fly, and if they can show a negative test in the 3 days before they left, they are welcome to come over. And the French embassy is facilitating the delivery of visas, for example. So if you are interested and if you have already planned to come this year, all the efforts are made to facilitate your coming. Next slide, please. And in addition to this continuity of welcoming students, we are also continuing the programs, the cooperation programs with Indonesian partners. That's the next slide. So specifically with the Institut Français, French Institute in Jakarta. Can you move on to the next slide, please? Basically, we are using. Okay. The same program that have been going on are still going. So, for example, Ph.D. Nusantara for research, and the Science and Impact program for research as well, and also the Eiffel Scholarship program for students. So you will find all the documents in my slide once they show. Maybe I can share it myself. Yeah, what do you think?
sorry, we have a problem here.
Switching to a different part, just to get some. Power. Okay, so as I was saying, the Institut Français is still offering the same programs for cooperation, both for research, so the Nusantara program and the Science and Impact program, and also for student mobility with the Eiffel Excellence program. So these programs are still available. And as far as Europe, the Erasmus program, which is funding some of our cooperation with several universities, including in Indonesia. We have a program running with Universitas Gunung Jati, with Universitas Pertamina, with Universitas Gajah Mada, and also with Universitas Tanjung Pura in Pontianak. And these funding programs have been expanded, even though we had the COVID-19, so that the funding is still available for an additional year. And also, you can see on my slide now the new program that starts in 2021. Europe is still investing a lot of money in the internationalization of education with the Erasmus program, and you see that we doubled the budget that we had from this year. So of course, most of it is between European countries, but part of it is also to fund cooperation with partners from other parts of the world, including Indonesia and all countries. Next slide, please. So at the University of Poitiers, we, as a precaution, we chose to freeze or to suspend the non-EU mobilities until January 2021, because we wanted to see how the sanitary situation would be in September and October before we could open again the situation in Poitiers. But as I said, we have good signs from the ministry and from the sanitary authorities, and because of that, we are continuing to push for more cooperation in the long term. So we are working with our partners from the Coimbra group, and we drafted a report. I shared the link a bit earlier. We wrote a report on how we coped and how we responded to COVID-19, so that is a report that you might be interested in checking out. And also the University of Poitiers has received a new funding to create a European campus for city universities. So the project is called EC2U. And so we are still working and still pushing for more internationalization of higher education. Of course, I understand that the COVID-19 was a big stop in our developments, and obviously last year and this year we have had to adapt and turn to distance learning, to internationalization at home, to new types of virtual mobilities, and we are all using all these tools as well. But I believe that very soon we will have the new normal, and we will have the new capacities to travel and to enhance our cooperations again once the sanitary situation is under control. It has been quite a dramatic event, of course, this year, and it has raised a lot of questions in terms of how we organize and how we deal with this type of crisis. But I think it's a learning curve, and now that we have gone through this experience all together, we are probably better at coping with that in the future. Globalization means globalization of people and globalization also of viruses and diseases, so it might not be the last time that we face such a challenge. But I think universities will still find ways to develop their cooperation, and even if we have to stop for a few months, we will be able to take over and to continue very soon. So that's all I wanted to add for this presentation. Terima kasih, and again, thank you very much for inviting me for this this very insightful webinar with my colleagues. And it has been a pleasure to see the familiar faces from Indonesia. I hope we can meet again in real life very soon, hopefully in early 2021.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Jean-Marie Pincemin. That was a very interesting presentation. And so we will go to the discussion session. Unfortunately, we will have maybe 10 minutes for the discussion sessions. So, Bapak Ibu,
ada beberapa pertanyaan yang sudah masuk ke kami ditujukan kepada Ibu Evi. Hanya barusan Ibu Evi menyampaikan ke kami permohonan maaf karena beliau ada kepentingan lain, ada rapat mendadak sehingga beliau tidak bisa menjawab pertanyaan secara langsung. Nanti pertanyaan dari Bapak Ibu kami akan kirimkan melalui email beliau dan akan dijawab oleh beliau. Okay, for the first question to Mr. Jean-Marie Pincemin, the question is there a scholarship program to continue studying abroad, especially the cooperations between the Ministry of Education and Culture of the Republic of Indonesia with the government of France? Thank you.
I just shared the link for the IFO scholarship program for France, for example. So, the French ministry is still offering scholarship programs for students all over the world, and it's really a big strategic move from our authorities. So, in addition to the link I gave, I invite you to check the Institut Français website, the Jakarta, and they can give you lots of information about the possibilities and all the programs that are being financed between Indonesia and France.
Yeah, okay, thank you. You have already sent the information about the IFO scholarship program in the chat room, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So the IFO scholarship program is exclusively from the government of France.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So if I'm not mistaken, we have also the program called Nusantara program.
Yes.
This program is for mutual collaboration for research, actually, I think.
Indeed.
Yeah.
If you look at research funding, we have indeed Nusantara and also Science and Impact, which are the two programs funded by the French and Indonesian authorities to enhance the cooperation between our research teams.
Okay. Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Jomari. So,
The next question.
The next question.
Yeah, the next question is for Dr. Christine from Tarlac Agricultural University for Mrs. Christine. There is a question from Ashifa Kairina Yahya from UGJ University, ma'am. In an increasingly competitive higher education sector, driven by student mobility metrics and institutional positioning in global rankings, internationalization at home offers a breath of fresh air, especially during this pandemic. But the question is, how will you measure the study effectiveness by internationally studying at home? Yeah, may Dr. Christine answer these questions, ma'am?
Students. Is that what she means by the question? So, of course, this is a start for most of us here. This is the first time that we're going to conduct this mobility program, internationalization at home, particularly on virtual exchanges. To measure the impact of this form of international mobility, it may be necessary that we have to back up this in the form of research. So, at the end of the semester or in a year, that's the best time for us to measure its effectiveness and the impact of what we are doing. We have to identify the specific metrics and indicators of what it makes to be an effective home-based internationalization program, like, for example, engagement of the students, achievement of learning outcomes, and even multicultural intelligence and cultural appreciation among our students. So, as of now, TAU has not yet into that. We have not conducted an impact assessment yet, but of course, in every activity that we are doing, we are always doing monitoring and evaluation, and we will be including this form of research after the semester. There are other ways on how we can measure the impact, but it always depends on the kind of if QS, for example, has its own metrics, then that will be the basis of our evaluation, because there are also other forms of assessing the impact of our internationalization program. What I'm saying here is the assessment that we are doing is contextualized based on the needs of the assessment agency or the organization that may be needing the results of our assessment.
Yeah, thank you for Dr. Christine for a nice answer. Yeah, the next question is the third question. We have more, yeah? For Dr. Nico. Are you in, Dr. Nico Irawan? Yeah, there is a question for you. I read that the most common approach to remote emergency teaching report by institution are like live streaming and recording of lectures and classes with stick to original timetables for face-to-face lessons, pre-recording of lectures and posting them on the institution learning management system, posting of materials on the learning management system. The question is, are those systems really effective, sir? How about the exam days or for making thesis, which is required us to get the data from people, civilian fields? Will online studies will be really effective for this? Pandemic victim number keep increasing and it's make us quite cautious. Thank you, sir. That's the questions.
Okay, thank you very much for the question. I think it's a nice question, and I have experience in teaching online. Since in Thailand, I did since February after the New Year, and because some of my Chinese students come back to China, until now they cannot come to Thailand. And of course, we should have the online learning like LMS. And what the platform, because like I said to you in the presentation, my presentation, that we cannot use Zoom today because we have more than 200 or 300 Chinese students. And when I offer Zoom, they said, sorry teacher, I cannot use Zoom. So we have the DingTalk. We use DingTalk platform from China, and including some of my other country students such as Korea, Cambodia, Vietnam, Philippines also, Thailand also join together, and we do online learning, directly virtual, like a streaming like this, face-to-face. I have 3 hours meeting every week, and then be virtual, and sometimes 1 hour before the discussion in DingTalk, because in the platform DingTalk, we can do both sides, such as when you do in Indonesia, like WhatsApp, but DingTalk can be WhatsApp, can be Google Classroom, can be Zoom. So only one platform, I can do I can do many activities. And for the effective, I think depend on individual. If I said to the student, I will do the streaming, they join my class, and they use the online learning, and they use the virtual learning. So I ask them, some of them are happy with online, but some of them still say, I'm not happy, teacher, with online because I cannot meet my friends, I cannot meet the teacher face-to-face. This is the individual opinion. But for our experience in ICUTK, because we did since February until now, we have experience in online, and my student, I think the same, in my opinion, still the same, traditional and visual, depend on the individual, and also depend on the internet connection. Of course, internet connection is, is very valuable for our teaching. If the signal or the connection sometimes interrupt, disconnect suddenly, I think it's not convenient. That's why I said, because I have experience so far, I said I think effective for our teaching learning during pandemic. Because if we meet to each other, I think it's very risky. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for Dr. Nico Irawan for explaining for the answer. Well, the last question is from Sharifah Uswatun Hasanah Az-Zuhri, and this question refers to Ibu Siti Kumaya. Ibu Siti Kumaya, how are you in? Ma'am? Yeah, Ibu Siti Kumaya, are you in?
Okay, I'm here.
Yeah. Okay. There's the questions. Let me try to deliver the questions in English, and then I try to translate it. Okay. Ma'am, there is a question. Complaints related to the high cost of distance learning during the COVID-19. It is undeniable that students, lecturers, and the academic community must increase the cost to buy internet quota, ma'am. UGJ made a policy of providing UKT relief for students who face financial constraints during the COVID-19 pandemic in the form of cutting tuition payments, such as quota subsidies. However, this accession is only budget for a few students, while all students feel the financial impact. How far this policy been realized? Is it right on the target? Is there a solution that can be applied to the students who do not get subsidies? Ya, mungkin I will translate to all participant here. Ada pertanyaan dari Mbak Sharifah Uswatin Hasanah Az-Zuhri, di mana banyaknya keluhan yang berhubungan dengan biaya pembelajaran pada online sistem di masa pandemi COVID-19 ini. Dan juga sudah bagus memang UGJ memberikan kebijakan, dan menyediakan biaya tambahan untuk membeli kuota internet. Tetapi pertanyaannya adalah ada beberapa komplain, mungkin ini sangat tidak berpengaruh kepada beberapa murid, tetapi banyak sekali dampaknya berpengaruh pada murid yang memiliki kehidupan pas-pasan gitu ya. Lalu dan mereka itu merasa sangat berdampak sekali pada finansial mereka. Mereka harus membeli kuota meskipun sudah dibantu, tetapi tidak terbantukan berapa persennya gitu. Nah, bagaimana, sejauh mana kebijakan ini bisa direview kembali? Apakah ini sesuai dengan target? Apakah memiliki solusi yang dapat diaplikasikan kepada mahasiswa yang tidak mendapatkan subsidi? Begitu pertanyaannya, Ibu. Ya, kepada Ibu. Ya.
Terima kasih Mbak Uswatun ya. Mbak Uswatun mungkin salah satu dari mahasiswa UGJ mungkin ya, ataupun salah satu dari mahasiswa dari universitas-universitas lain yang memang semuanya terdampak oleh pandemi COVID-19 ini. Mbak Uswatun dan adik-adik mahasiswa yang saya sayangi, ini betul sekali. Kami dari Universitas Swadaya Gunung Jati ikut peduli terhadap musibah, saya sebut musibah ya, karena pandemi COVID-19 ini semua tidak menyangka kita akan mengalami masalah pandemik di awal tahun 2020 ini. Kemudian kami memberikan subsidi. Nah, untuk subsidi sendiri kami telah berjalan Mbak Uswatun dari April kemarin ya sampai dengan akhir akademik 1920. Kemudian alhamdulillah terima kasih kami sampaikan juga kepada pemerintah, dalam hal ini Kementerian Pendidikan dan Kebudayaan yang juga amat sangat peduli terhadap para mahasiswa. Bahkan Kementerian Kebudayaan tidak hanya peduli terhadap mahasiswa, terhadap kami dosen sekalipun, pemerintah peduli dengan bukti bahwa ataupun dengan program melalui Kementerian Pendidikan dan Kebudayaan memberikan subsidi kuota sampai dengan bulan Desember ke depan. Jadi baik mahasiswa maupun dosen itu diberikan subsidi kuota oleh Kementerian Pendidikan dan Kebudayaan tanpa kecuali. Dengan catatan mahasiswa adalah mahasiswa aktif, NIM-nya atau NPM-nya masih aktif, kemudian nomor handphonenya juga aktif karena kan langsung ditransfer ataupun dikirimkan kuotanya melalui nomor handphone yang tertera. Kendalanya adalah mungkin kalau para mahasiswa kita, anak-anak muda itu nomornya suka ganti-ganti ya, Nah itu kalau ganti-ganti itu mungkin nggak akan nyampe, tapi kalau nomornya permanen, insya Allah melalui Kementerian Pendidikan dan Kebudayaan akan sampai untuk membantu pembelajaran daring jarak jauh ini. Nah untuk kondisi seperti sekarang, semua juga tidak menghendaki barangkali pandemik ini ada di tengah kita. Jadi tidak hanya faktor pembelajaran jarak jauh atau daring memang adik-adik sekalian, sebetulnya tidak hanya faktor ketersediaan kuota yang paling utama, karena banyak faktor-faktor yang harus dilalui. Artinya begini, kuota penuh, kuota ada, tapi ketika jaringan tidak terjangkau itu juga nggak akan terpenuhi ya pembelajarannya. Nah ini mungkin satu sisi dari kendala pembelajaran jarak jauh. Sisi yang lainnya adalah semuanya terakomodir ya, dari itu antero penjuru dunia, bahkan tadi disampaikan kolaborasi kita pun bisa dilakukan dengan jarak jauh. Alhamdulillah dengan adanya pandemi ini justru tanpa ada batasan ruang dan waktu untuk kita berkolaborasi, berkomunikasi dengan dunia luar. Tapi salah satu kendalanya yang tadi, kuota terpenuhi, jaringan tidak ada, ataupun hal-hal yang lainnya seperti itu. Terlebih wilayah Indonesia ini seperti kita ketahui, 80 sampai 85% penduduk Indonesia itu tinggal di pedesaan. Nah, apakah jalur-jalur pedesaan ini akan terjangkau oleh jaringan-jaringan internet? Nah, ini kan juga menjadi satu kendala. Jadi mari kita sikapi bersama dengan adanya pandemi COVID-19 ini, kemudian kita syukuri, kita menjalankan setiap kebijakan-kebijakan yang ada, baik dari pemerintah pusat maupun dari dunia kampus. Prinsipnya adalah baik pemerintah maupun perguruan tinggi itu tidak akan mengabaikan pendidikan yang sedang berjalan. Seperti itu ya, Mbak Uswatun ya.
Baik, terima kasih banyak Ibu Siti Maya
atas jawabannya. Baik, kepada para peserta, sekiranya setelah selesailah susunan acara, rangkaian acara kegiatan pada siang hingga sore hari ini, kami dari Kantor Urusan Internasional Universitas Swadaya Gunung Jati mengucapkan terima kasih banyak atas partisipasi dan kehadiran Bapak Ibu sekalian. Kami sampaikan terima kasih banyak juga kepada para pemateri, terutama kepada Ibu Evi Mulyani sebagai Kepala Biro Kerjasama dan Hubungan Masyarakat Kemendikbud RI, kemudian Ibu Siti Humayah selaku Wakil Rektor 4, dan Dr. Nabor Ferrer dari Tarlac Agricultural University Philippines, dan Dr. Nico Irawan dari International College Rajamangala University of Technology Thailand, dan Mr. Jean-Marie Pincemin, the Director of International Relations, University of Poitiers, France.
Yeah. I think that thank you for all the participants who has joined in this webinar UGJ Talks 3. But before ending this one, ayo kuliah di UGJ dengan program studi terakreditasi, program studi yang terakreditasi A dan B. You may visit for our website www.ugj.ac.id, or maybe you can search that with https pmb.ugj.ac.id, or you may contact to our email humasugj@gmail.com, and then you may register, okay, in register.ugj.ac.id, or maybe you can come directly to Jalan Pemuda Raya number 32 Sunyaragi, Kecamatan Kesambi, Kota Cirebon, Jawa Barat. Thank you for joining this webinar. We will see for the next webinar. It means that webinar 4, and hopefully that you will enjoy and then get the benefit from this webinar. Thank you very much. See you. Bye bye. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you for all. Thank you.
Ya, Pak, jalan.
Ya, langsung
Pak.
sekarang.
Baik, Pak.
Gunung Jati Swadaya University, UGJ, was established on January 16, 1961, coincides with the founding of the Foundation of Pendidikan Swadaya Gunung Jati. Times goes on, UGJ continues to develop itself. Until 2019-2020 academic year has held 7 faculties and programs, postgraduates with 22 study programs. On its way, UGJ continues, shows significant development. UGJ gets an institutional accreditation score quite encouraging, with a title B. 4 of them were study programs accredited A. UGJ also achieved quality ISO 9001 standard management system in 2015. UGJ has 4 campuses. The first campus is located at Jalan Pemuda number 32. The second campus on Jalan Perjuangan number 1. The third campus on Jalan Terusan Pemuda number 1. The fourth campus on Terusan Bima Street number 1A. UGJ has a vision to become a college leading research based on local wisdom towards the global level in 2034. With the motto Pintar, Performance, Integrity, Networking, Trust Maintenance, Achievement, Motivation, and Religious. UGJ national ranking continues to rise from 2,141 public and private college in 2019. UGJ is in a cluster 3 with ranking 140th. To realize this vision, UGJ continues improving education and teaching based on research results by utilizing technology, information, and communication quality in order to increase our nation's competitiveness. Carry out research that has characteristics of excellence and innovation by lifting the local wisdom of the archipelago and service to the community in the form empowerment based on research results as form of institutional social responsibility. Creating an academic atmosphere to support the implementation of activities, education, research, and service to the community based on faith and piety. Carry out cooperation with various domestic and foreign institutions to support the development of the university and develop students' potential, both in mastering hard and soft skills through intra and extracurricular activities.
and foster entrepreneurial spirit and reliable leadership. The amount of students and graduates from year to year continues to be increased. In addition, UGJ develops the organization which is based in response to various change that is being occurred. Research institution and community service, agency quality assurance and innovation, agency academic development, agency business development, consultancy institution, and legal aid. To realize its vision, UGJ continues adding classroom facilities that are adequate, laboratory space in each, study and library program, polyclinic health, sport facilities, auditorium, mosque, as well as a variety of activity units, students affairs, photography, and radio, microphone, clip, lighting. UGJ also developed information systems sustainable to support in improving the quality of academic activities and information-based service for students and technology. UGJ is a decent choice for the next generation as the future of the nation.